Carlton, new from Mondays at 7, tonight with Richard Madeley and Judy Finnegan.
Tonight with Richard Madeley and Judy Finnegan. That exclusive interview with O.J. Simpson. And in part 2, music and conversation with the legendary Neil Diamond.
Thank you very much indeed. Our first guest is the most controversial person that we've ever interviewed. Charged with 2 terrible murders, his trial became the most watched courtroom drama in television history.
Not so long ago, he was an American icon, a sports, TV and movie star, a multi-millionaire, the ghetto kid made good. Then the American dream became a nightmare. His ex-wife and her friend were dead, and he was the prime suspect. An American court cleared him, but many were not convinced.
Los Angeles Police Department is actively searching for Mr. Simpson.
Could not have committed this crime.
I knew that my son was innocent.
O.J. Simpson, why do you think that so many people find it so hard to believe that you are innocent?
Well, it's, I can't really blame them. I think if I was exposed to what they were exposed to daily for a year and a half.
You mean the television, the televised trial?
Television coverage. What I found since I've been out and I watched television, of course I watched a lot of it from my cell at the end of the day, the wrap-up at the end of the day, and quite often when I would go into my, to the, what they call the lawyer's room, the attorney room, at the end of the day, after the news was off, I would look at whoever was visiting me, and we would say, were they in the same courtroom that we were in today? Because the reports were so, I felt, inaccurate or skewed always and generally to the negative. So,
well, let's move away from the media coverage and let's talk about the note that you left. You wrote this. You said, "Don't feel sorry for me. I've had a great life, great friends. Please think of the real O.J. and not this lost person." And then, and I think this is where the problem began for you, if not in America, certainly here, off you drove in the Bronco. You should have been turning yourself in at the police station, but you headed south towards Mexico, and then you started to drive around the city. What was that drive all about, if you weren't running away?
Once again, one of the reasons that you noticed that the prosecution didn't pursue that during the course of the case is because they knew the facts of the matter. For the first time in my life, I was suffering some despair. My favorite person next to my mother on earth was brutally murdered. My kids didn't seem to know it. I remember the next night when I was with my kids and I was trying to explain to them that their mother was in heaven. They were unaware. My son wanted me to play a Nintendo game with him. My daughter wanted me to read her a story.
I want you to answer the question.
Okay, I'm just trying to give you a picture of what was going on that
There's
week.
a limited amount of background we can go into. Why did you drive away?
So as the week went on, I got more and more depressed. And essentially, I was being attacked for the first time in my life. I wasn't used to criticism, and I was being attacked. And I was hurting. I was in a lot of pain, and I just wanted the pain to stop. So that morning, when I was told that I was going to be arrested, I just asked a friend of mine at one point. I turned to Al Collins. I said, "Take me to Nicole's grave," because I had no memory of the funeral because they had me on medication and all the things that were going on. He drove me. He said, "Come on," being the friend that he is. He drove me to her grave. When we got there, the police had it cordoned off, so we couldn't get in. Let me just finish this. So it was cordoned off. We waited a bit. We couldn't get in, and at one point he got out of the car. I got out of the seat and got in the back of the car, and when he came back, he saw that I had a gun, and he said, "I'm taking you home, O.J. I'm taking you home." And I said, "Take me to my mother." We were on our way back home. He called the LAPD as we were on our way back up the freeway, and at some point 20 miles north of the grave, heading back to L.A., we were spotted by LAPD, and they followed us. So they know we weren't going to Mexico.
Was that note, O.J., was it a suicide note? Was it your intention to kill yourself?
I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted the pain to stop.
Why did you have a gun?
Because I wanted the pain to stop. Well,
you mean
I left my house earlier in the week with the gun. Yeah. One, I had heard, the only thing I knew, see, I never knew how they were murdered or anything throughout the week. All I knew is that they were murdered, that somebody had been at my house. Yes, it appeared as if someone was at my house.
We'll get on to that. But talking about the chase, why did you have this bag with a passport and clothes and cash, a lot of cash, and it's been reported a false beard?
Well, first of all, I had no cash. You know, when this case was over, I asked the LAPD when they were giving me my things back, "Where's this $10,000? Because all they gave me was $3.60-something. I said, "Well, wait a minute. I've read all these reports that I had $10,000. Give me my money." Right?
Well, did
of
you
course,
or
I
didn't
didn't
you?
have $10,000.
Are you saying that you knew that you didn't have $10,000 and this was a joke with the LAPD?
No, I had $3.63. That's what they gave me back. Right. Earlier in the day, when I knew I was going to be arrested, I had just been on the road, and I always keep cash. I had given my buddy Al $7,000 or $8,000 in cash and some checks, and told him to give it to my two older kids because I felt, because I was arrested, they wouldn't want to work. Okay. You know, they would need some cash. As far as the passport, I carry a bag. Maybe you do the same thing. My passport is always in this bag. When I came back from Chicago, LAPD, Van Adder testified that I told him he could look at my bag. I didn't tell him that. That was a lie. But I would have told him to look at my bag with no problem. It was in there then.
So you're saying you didn't have the cash, you didn't have a bag packed for flight, and basically you were freaking out and on the edge of suicide. You were not running away from the police. That's what you're saying.
And the prosecution knew that. That's why they didn't bring it up during the case.
Okay. Now, let's talk about some of the other reasons, the evidential reasons why some people find it hard to get around their heads around the fact that you're innocent. What about this business of the blood, your blood, which was found not only at the murder site, but also in the grounds and garden of your own house?
Well, I don't find it unusual if something was found around my own home. I'm very suspect as to whose blood that was. I think a lot of people, the press totally overlooked the fact that when Mazzola, who collected the blood, after they lied and said Fong had collected it, when she collected the blood at the Bundy scene where the murders were taken, she testified she processed that blood and she put her initials on each one of the bindles. They laid that blood out for it to dry, which normally takes 2 or 3 hours to dry. They laid it out for roughly 8 or 9 hours. Later on, when those blood drops went to the various labs, Cellmark and the Justice Department to be tested, Mazzola's initials were no longer on the bindles. Now, the prosecution then brought her back and tried to convince her that maybe she didn't put her initials on the bindle when she had testified twice under oath. So my thing is, I don't believe that those were the same blood drops that were sent to
Cellmark. Are you saying that the police planted them?
I don't know who did what. I don't know what they did. I've made no accusation. All I know is nobody has explained that to us. And nobody explained why those bindles had wet transfers. Barry Scheck did an excellent job on that.
But the implication is, if you're right and the LAPD department were wrong, it's either a gigantic cock-up or, frankly, it's a frame-up. Somebody's framed you. And if so, why don't you sue?
Well, once again, I got to get through this. A whole lot of people are going to be sued when I finish with this. You know, I have, especially against some of the tabloids. But when you look at this case, the only people we know who lied on the stand under oath, we know for a fact Van Adder lied. Judge Ito said he had a reckless disregard for the truth. We know for a fact Fung lied. He was caught right on the stand lying.
But if you're
know Furman lied.
Okay, but yes, indeed, Furman was shamed
to be a liar. But these people that were a part of this first day on the scene and the collection of the evidence, those are the people we know lied on the stand. My question is why?
But okay, and the question that many people sitting here tonight and watching this interview is, why didn't, you're here being vociferous in your defense, why not take the stand? Why not get into court and answer these questions?
Well, I wanted to. I wanted to because I was concerned about some of the other accusations they were making that had absolutely nothing to do with this crime.
Like the knife?
But about my personal, the knife. You notice they never mentioned a knife ever again because they knew they were totally wrong.
They would have put it to you if you'd taken the stand. This is the story that a few weeks before the killings, you bought a very large knife. Yes. This was testified to in court by the clerk who sold you the knife. Yes. And you, it's been suggested, were worried you'd be asked questions about where the knife was because it's never turned up. It's vanished.
But they never asked for it. It has turned up. Everybody knows where the knife was in the envelope. It was in the envelope that the police, once they knew it was in the envelope, you notice they never mentioned the knife ever again because the knife was in my home.
Why did you buy it?
Because it was a knife. Why do I buy? I own 6 or 7 guns that I've never shot. Why did I buy it? I was shooting a film. Actually, I was shooting a film, and we were shooting literally in a knife store. So you're sitting there for 8 hours. Virtually every member of the crew bought something from that store. Knives and other things.
But OJ, why didn't you take the stand? If you've got all this full defense of yourself, why not?
All right. We had reached a point in the trial where I had fully intended to take the stand. Right. Some of my lawyers thought you shouldn't take the stand. I mean, not me, that no defendant. They said they can make Mother Teresa, quote unquote, look insensitive, a good prosecutor. But I still said I'm definitely going to take the stand, no matter what. We reached a point in August when Judy Ito brought in both sides and said, we got a problem. We're losing the jury. We've already lost, I think, 9 people at that point. We're down to 3 alternate jurors, and we would lose another one within weeks. If we went under 12 jurors, the prosecution said that they wouldn't continue the case, which meant the case would end. We'd have to retry and start all over again. Okay. All of my lawyers, let me finish this. All of my lawyers told me that Johnny Cochran said it would be 3 years before he could, 2 years rather, before he could come back to the case.
So you're saying it was a calculated risk in order to preserve the ending of the trial. Okay.
Yes, right. Otherwise I'd be in jail for 3 more years waiting for another trial.
We have so much more to talk to you about, and we haven't really discussed Nicole. Tell us about the nice Nicole. Tell us about the Nicole that you love. What was she like?
Well, Nicole, it's been tough since this thing has happened because, you know, I have to try to defend myself, and so many of her alleged friends have said so many. I've painted sort of a
Well, you just tell us. Just tell us what she was like.
Nicole was, I thought, her best attribute, I thought, was her loyalty. To me, I think she was what every man would want in that I never had to worry about her. You know, I never was concerned. I keep hearing I was a jealous person. I never had any reason to be jealous of Nicole.
And yet?
She was a tremendous mother. I mean, as a mother, she's what I think every kid should have, and that's the toughest part about all of this, is that my kids are going to miss out on that.
Well, obviously, but in fact, you say you never had to be jealous of Nicole, but in fact, the sort of rumours about you, in fact, is that you were a very jealous husband, a very jealous man,
and that you beat her up.
that you were violent towards her.
On New Year's of 1989, Nicole and I came home from a party and got into an argument, and it got physical. Now, I took full responsibility for that. In my efforts to remove her from my bedroom, I got very physical.
What about the 911 calls that were played to the court? What about, because that's what people remember.
No other violence, nothing physical took place on any one of those other 911 calls. The only one you really heard was 93, and there was nothing physical took place.
But she said
nobody ever said that.
She said she was frightened you were going to kill her.
No, she didn't say that.
She did say it on one of the tapes.
No, she did not say that.
She said he's going to kill me.
No, she did not say that. You listen to the tape. What you did was what most of America did. They listened to a piece of the tape. Now, you listened to the entire tape, and then there was a surreptitiously taped tape that came, because when the police officers came, they surreptitiously taped the conversation with her and I.
So
in that conversation, she admitted that she was not afraid.
But if she must have felt afraid to call 911, mustn't she?
People call 911 for different reasons.
Well, why did she
I think
call
it was a control issue at that time. She had, and she admitted in this tape, I had gone home because I didn't want to argue. She had called me on the phone, and reminded me that I said that I wouldn't do this again, walk off.
Then why before she died?
And asked me to come back so that we can argue this out.
Then why before she died, OJ, did she leave photographs in a safety deposit box, which was discovered after her death, and photographs showing grievous bodily harm to her face, and also a note in which she said, I want the world to know, and I'm paraphrasing, I want the world to know, yes, but I want the world to know that this is what he did to me in case I die. Why did she leave that evidence in a safety deposit box?
First of all, you're absolutely wrong. In 1989, she went to the police station. They took some Polaroid pictures. The police said, Those were the Polaroid pictures you saw in her safety deposit box. She came home, put them in her safety deposit box.
With a note?
Was no note with those pictures. None at all.
You're
That
saying
is
that's
inaccurate information. There was no note with those pictures. Those were just the pictures that she took, and she put them in there because obviously she didn't want the kids to see them.
Do you regard yourself as a violent man?
The press wrote time and time again that I was this violent person. That is the only incident of anything physical that ever happened between Nicole and I. They investigated me. I was the most thoroughly investigated person ever. They spoke to every person I've ever been involved with, and not one person has ever said that they ever saw me become violent or physical.
Briefly,
one person. I've been in some relationships.
What kind of person, then, do you think would have killed Nicole and Ron Brown in that way? Would have actually almost taken her head off her neck? Ron Goldman, I should say.
I obviously would be speculating. I feel that, with no doubt, that the answers to Nicole's murders lies in the world of Faye Resnick. We have information that in the past in her life, things such as this happened.
Could you explain that for those people in the audience?
Faye Resnick was a friend of Nicole that she met after we had split, and was a friend of hers during the time that the year we were back together. And Faye was a girl that her fiance kicked her out the week before these murders because of drug use. Faye Resnick moved in with Nicole.
Right.
3
So
days
you're
later,
basically saying
Nicole put her in a rehab because her drug use was out of control, and 4 days later, Nicole was dead.
Right. So Nicole was a victim of a drugs murder.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that the people that she was running, Nicole's very best friend in this world was a girl named Cora Fishman, who they tried to really...
Jay, we're nearly out
We'll
of
have
time.
to keep to one side.
Okay, I'm going to answer that.
I think we've understood
You've
what
gone
you
on to
meant
very important points, so I think your meaning came across there. There is this 85-minute window, the night that the killings took place, and you have no alibi. And there are three varying stories. One is that you were swinging golf balls in the garden, one is that you were asleep, which is what the evidence that was given to the court, and one is that you were in the shower. Do you have a clear memory of that night?
Pretty much so, yes.
What were you doing?
I was home.
Doing?
I actually came home and started reading when I got back from the burgers. And, I say all of this. I had a videotape where I was interviewed, and I explained, not only explained, but I actually showed people what I did. Of course, the people in America are trying to keep people from seeing that, but the media is trying to keep people from seeing that. But in any event, and then I started slowly packing. Everyone said I was playing golf. I wasn't playing golf. I hit a couple of loose balls away when I was getting balls for my trip.
All right, I'm afraid that's all we have time for now. O.J. Simpson, thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here, but when we return, Judy and I will be talking eventually to Neil Diamond.
That's in just a couple of minutes. See you then. Stay with us.